All right, let's start with the unicorn, Shohei Ohtani and the
Mm.
Angels taking on the Astros in Houston. It's Jake Odorizzi on the bump for the Stros, and it's the Angels favored in this one, minus 135, totals 8.5 runs. Shohei off to a bit of a rocky start, 0-2 this season with a 7.56 ERA against Jake Odorizzi, like I said, who's 0-1 with a 6.48 ERA. Those numbers a little skewed because, we're only a couple games into the season. But looking at Ohtani, career against the Astros, he is 0-3 with a 5.92 ERA in 6 career starts. But it should be noted, he was pretty good in the season opener against the Astros, giving up just 1 run. Only lasted 4 2/3, though, but did strike out 9. So, Jenks, what are we expecting from Ohtani here?
Ooh, I don't know. I kept going back and forth on this, but I the over here with the total set at 8.5 because Odorizzi in 9 career starts is what has an ERA of almost 5 when taking on the Angels, and then Shohei Ohtani has never beaten Houston in his career. He has an ERA near 6. So certainly, when you talk about, we always talk about how good pitchers, even if they're struggling early in the season, at some point they generally sort of regress, and we see that positive regression, and they end up being the pitchers we're accustomed to seeing. But in this particular spot, when you consider the histories of each individual pitcher against the opposing teams, and the fact that the Angels can mash, so can the Astros, I like the over.
Yeah, I think the over for me as well, and the trends would suggest that as well. So far this season, the Angels are 5-0-1 to the over this season, as we've seen quite a lot of runs because the Angels, going into yesterday, led the majors in home runs, which is a bit surprising. Not so much, I guess, because they do have Ohtani, Mike Trout, who's not going to be playing in this one, but still a pretty stout lineup. And then looking at last night's game, both starting pitchers only went 4 innings because they kind of struggled. Or Patrick Sandoval did good, but he only went 4 innings. So the
Yeah.
Angels had to use 4 other relievers, and it was probably their better relievers because they were trying to seal a win over the Astros. So Aaron Loop, their new acquisition coming over from the Rays, I believe, pitched in this one. And then looking at the Astros, they also pitched 4 guys out of the bullpen last night. So I think the bullpen's going to be a little gas coming into this one. So I think the over's the play for me too.
Oh, I like it. Man, I always feel good when I'm on the same side as you. And who knows? Maybe Ohtani comes out and Odorizzi come out and we get a pitcher's duel. But I don't think so, particularly when you look at the bats involved.
Right. It looks like Ohtani's bat has been a little bit hotter than his pitching arm so far this season. I will say he did strike out 9. I want to say that again because he is a strikeout pitcher, but it doesn't always mean that he's not giving up runs because he has given up some long balls. He gave up a grand slam against the Rangers in his second start of the year. And then Jake Odorizzi is not the Astros' top line starter. He's, I think, one of their 4 or 5 starters. So it's not like the battle of the 2 best arms on the staff. Shohei Ohtani certainly has high-end stuff, but he also has given up some runs. Let's move on to the Braves and the Dodgers. The Dodgers coming off a loss last night to the Braves. A 7-game win streak snapped in that 3-1 loss, and this is the rubber match of the series. Charlie Morton going for Atlanta 1-1 with a 6.10 ERA against Tony Gonsolin, who has a 1.29 ERA and is 0-0, has not gotten a decision yet. So, Jenks, do we think the Dodgers bounce back here?
I mean, maybe. I'm not going to play this game, but I actually might try and grab some plus money with the Braves. Charlie Morton was really good against the Dodgers last year in both the regular season and the playoffs, so I kind of like this spot for him. Tony Gonsolin's numbers are really impressive, but remember last year in the NLCS, the Braves roughed him up. Now, certainly they don't have the same lineup, particularly with Freddie Freeman on the other side, but they have faced Gonsolin before, had a lot of success, so I might put a sprinkle on some plus money here and fade the Dodgers a touch, but ultimately this is a hard game to play.
I think it's a no play for me as well, just because these are 2 really good teams and you're not getting any value on the Dodgers. It is a help for the Braves that Max Fried went 7 innings last night. So they only had to use Matzik and Jansen, who are their 2 best relievers. Obviously, Kenley Jansen is the closer. But looking at the Dodgers side, they had to use 4 pitchers, including David Price, throwing an inning in there. But they were already behind, so I'm not too sure what to make of this one. Let's move on to the Giants and the Mets. A lot of good games on the slate today.
Mm-hmm.
Mets have won 6 of their last 7 games, including a really exciting one in the first game. I think it was the first game of this series. The first game of yesterday, they had a doubleheader in which Francisco Lindor hit a walk-off single, and then Max Scherzer almost had a no-hitter through 6 innings. Today, we've got Carlos Rodon going for the Giants, who's 1-0 with a 1.5 ERA, going against Chris Bassett, who's 2-0 with a 0.75 ERA, an underrated pickup, I believe, coming over from Oakland. For me, it's going to be, I was going to say first 5 under, but the total on this one's 6.5. That
Yeah,
changes things a little bit. It's really
it
low.
does. No, it's so low. So the way I might play this, I'm not crazy about it though, because Rodon and Bassett have been awesome, and this whole series has been tightly contested every single game. I look at maybe an alternate total of 7. That's juiced to the under at -130, but it's still low. Still, when you're looking at these two pitchers and the way the series has gone, I think it might be the right side. That's a tough
I
one.
tend to wonder because this was a doubleheader yesterday. Think of all the pitchers they had to use in a single day. Because I've been doing
Yeah.
this for the other games. I think it probably matters the most in this one. So the bullpen's going to be a little worn thin. They might have already used all their best relievers, especially since these games were close yesterday. So I think 6.5 is too low for me to look at an under. However, you're right. It's been two teams hot to the under. Probably a stay away for me. Let's get this one in real quick. Blue Jays, Red Sox. Red Sox plus 115 at home. It's Jose Barrios going for the Jays against Nick Pivetta, who was not good last time out. 0-2 with a 9.39. Jenks, any strong feelings on this one?
I think I'm going to go first 5 over, just a little bit of juice, -115, because Barrios has never beaten Boston. He's 0-5 in his career, an ERA of 4.43 in 7 starts. In his career, Pivetta is 1-2 against the Jays with an ERA of 5.77. And when you take how strong both of these lineups are, and historically they struggle when opposing the other team on the other side here, I'm going to go over 5 runs in the first 5. I think it's the right call.
Is it 5 or is it 4.5? Do we know?
I saw 5.
Oof. It's a little high, but I think that is the right play because looking at both these pitchers kind of struggling, and then you look at both these offenses and the home run potential, certainly on the Blue Jays side, and the fact that Nick Pivetta has not performed well and he's kind of regressing to the mean, what we kind of thought we would see last year. But a lot of the Red Sox pitchers pitched well above what we thought last year, and that's why Boston was in it, in the thick of things, even in the postseason. This is the Daily Tip presented by BetMGM. I'm Chelsea Messenger. He's Michael Jenkins. The BetQL Network stream live nationwide on the free Odyssey app and on BetQL.com. Jenks, we got a couple minutes left. We talked a little hockey in the opening of this segment, but I think we have time for a little more. Let's give you 60 seconds to talk about the NHL.
1 minute minor.
You're so kind, giving me 60 seconds. Guys, I got back on the winning side last night with the Rangers win. I'm not really crazy about the slate tonight. Only 4 games on the schedule, but here we go. Every single time I faded the Kraken this season, they have surprised me. Well, guess what? I'm going to keep doing it because now they're hosting the best team in hockey. The Avs are in town, and a monster -350 favorite on the money line. Seattle plus 260, total set at 6.5. I'm not a huge fan of 6.5 point totals, so I'm staying away from that. Instead, I'm expecting the Avs to dominate. They average 3.8 goals per game, one of the best power play teams in the league. They've also got Darcy Kemper in net. He's been fantastic, allowing just 2.43 goals per game. Now, yes, the Kraken have been playing better recently, winning 3 of their last 5. But who of those victories come against? The Sens, the Devils, and the Blackhawks. That, my friends, is barf bag central. Doesn't impress me at all. Seattle also allows 3.5 goals per game. I expect the Avs to take advantage. Again, they are rolling right now. Give me Colorado on the puck line, -130 at BetMGM.
Barf Bag Central sounds like a new reality show airing on TBS with some kind of tagline where singles have to mingle after throwing up. And
Oh my
doesn't that
God.
sound like some kind of reality ploy? They like just keep getting weirder and weirder. These reality shows.
I don't know. I don't know if that concept's going to make it into production. All right, imagine this. A bunch of people have just finished throwing up. We give them Ipecac, all right? They go nuts. And then after they're done throwing up, we throw them in a room together. Everyone's gross, and we see who connects with one another. Who knows? We'll throw it on oxygen and see what happens.
No, it's like Survivor because don't we all know those people that if you see somebody throw up, they immediately start throwing up? Isn't that a thing?
I'm definitely that person. When I was a kid, long story short, man, I don't have time to tell this story, but it was dark side of the road. I was out in the middle of a pasture. We'd been drinking, and a buddy of mine pretended to throw up. You couldn't see anything. It was pitch black in the country, and he had some water with him, and he goes, huh, and just threw his water on me just as a joke. And I didn't know what it was. I was like, oh my God. And I started actually vomiting. So yeah, I'm one of those people.